I'll serve it to you anyway. This was your favorite. So this is the late bottle. So Quinta Dos Corvos is a typical Portuguese port wine house. This is a family-owned business, third generation. Our vineyard is in Sabrosa, has 25 hectares, so each year we produce 25,000 bottles of port wine, 5,000 bottles of table wine. So the port wine is exclusive from our house. We don't export. So first of all, we're one of the few that are 100% Portuguese, as this is our own vineyard. So it means that we only use our grapes, we don't purchase from other farmers. And as we're a small producer, we focus on quality. And with port wine, age stands for quality. So the youngest port wine that we produce is 7 years old. The first part of the production, that's in the Douro Valley, where all the vineyards, the quintas, are located, and traditionally the port wine was transported to our city in these boats. Yes, our famous barcos rabelos. It was a little bit dangerous. It took them 3 to 4 days to transport the port wines. In the 60s we built a dam, so nowadays the port wine is transported in tanker trucks. Safer, and it only takes 2 hours. So now we're here in our cellar and we'll discover the aging process. Yes? So with port wines, age matters, all right? So here the youngest port wine that we produce is already 7 years old. It means that it aged at least 7 years in the barrel. So these are our white port wines. Over here we have 2 white port wines. When the white port is young, the color is light, nearly transparent. As it ages, as there's more contact with the oak wood, with the barrels throughout the years, then the darker and darker it becomes. So white port wines, the older, the darker they get. These are all red port wines. This is then the color of the ruby port. It's only written ruby on the label. That's a very, very young port wine. We don't produce the one that only says ruby on the label. These are our red port wines. These port wines over here are called tawnies. Tawny is the name given for port wines that age in small barrels, like the ones we see here inside. So we have to bear in mind there's a lot of contact with the oak wood throughout the years, which means that in terms of flavors, the older, the less sweet and fruity, they gain a nutty and woody flavor. So they will start tasting like nuts, walnuts, caramel. They become smoother and smoother, more special, and the color becomes lighter and lighter. So they gain a tawny color. Tawny means in English a light brown color, and that's why these port wines are called tawnies, as they gain a tawny color. So it's very interesting. As white port wines age, the color becomes darker and darker, and it's the opposite with red. As they age, the color becomes lighter. So at 20 years, when we put the 20 years old white next to the 20 years old red, the tawny, then we can see that colors really look alike. We nearly have a match. The winery is in granite. It's called lagar in Portuguese. Here we see the traditional method, treading the grapes, which takes about 4 hours. All the other grapes, as mentioned, they are pressed by robotic lagars. So after the grapes are trodden, we obtain a grape juice, a grape must, and the fermentation process of the wine starts. Now the difference between a table wine and port wine is that with a table wine, the fermentation process of the wine goes all the way until the end. So it takes several days. With port wine, we're going to block the fermentation process already on the 3rd day. So on the 3rd day, we add aguardente, grape spirit, fire water to it. Of course, only a small portion, but it's very strong, 77% alcohol. So it increases the alcohol level of the wine, but also immediately blocks the fermentation process. The first time that people taste port wine, as it's sweet and fruity, and as there's a lot of information during the tour, they already know what they will be drinking, so it's a pleasant surprise. Of course, the white port is overall sweet, so for example, ladies tend towards liking the white port wines. Red port wines are fruity, or the older ones which have a nutty and oaky flavor, so it's a good surprise. We're nearby the cable. It's a 1-minute walk. It's more or less behind the building of Ramos Pinto and Vasconcelos. Of course, we also have an email and a webpage, so there's always a way that people can contact us.